Welcome to the Empower Hour. This is our weekly broadcast that we do to help ex Jehovah Witnesses move forward with their lives. The biggest thing about moving forward with your life is actually moving forward with your life. And a lot of times people don't know how to do that because you've been programmed to live life a certain way. You've been programmed to look at the world a certain way. And it doesn't work in the real world. What you were programmed for in the past does not work in the real world. So it's imperative that we understand how to move forward with our lives. And that's what we're going to be discussing today is how to move forward with our lives. And I'm going to be sharing some tips with you. Many of you have done my courses or coached with me. You've done the JWD programming boot camp. But those who haven't done it, you're really missing out because we teach a lot of golden nuggets there. And I'm sure the panel will share later on that. So, one thing I'd like to say is make sure you get a mentor as you're trying to move forward. Find someone who's already arrived where you like to go. Don't try to figure it all out for yourself because you're using the same programming that you were given to try to figure it out, and that just does not work very well. Find somebody who has walked the path. Even a lot of therapists struggle helping ex-Jehovah Witnesses because a lot of the issues that we have are very, very specific, and you spend a lot of time explaining Jehovah Witnesses to them. But you have people around you that have walked the path successfully. Learn from those people. Reach out to me. For those of you who are watching in the Facebook group, send me a message, put a message in the comments, get with me. I'm going to help you. For those watching on YouTube, there'll be a link where you could schedule a time to talk to me. And, if you can pull it off, do the courses because they really, really help you. So, we're going to discuss some of the things that I discuss in the JWD Programming Bootcamp course with you today. A lot of people don't know where to start. So, let me really explain to you where you should start. Start by getting to know how your mind works because it's your mind that was the thing that was manipulated in the religion. For those that came in the religion as an adult, normally you were in a vulnerable place. For most people, something was really wrong with their lives, and the religion felt like a safe refuge. It gave you structure, it gave you a community, and then it began there. Most ex Jehovah's Witnesses were raised in the religion, they really didn't have a choice. So, understanding how your mind works is imperative. You got to know how your mind operates because only when you understand your mind can you become the captain of your ship. Because most of your life is ruled by your subconscious mind, which means you're not conscious really of why you do what you do. It's a program that's running, just like a computer, like a hard drive. It's a program that is running. And who set the program? The Jehovah's Witnesses. You got three components of your mind: your conscious, your subconscious, and what's called your super subconscious mind, sometimes called your creative subconscious. But you're run by your subconscious programming. When you do or hear something over and over and over again, it's just what becomes an unconscious habit, an unconscious way of being. All of us are subject to it. You got ways of doing things that you don't even think about. When you get out of the shower, you probably dry off the exact same way every single time. You don't think about it. You don't have to think about it. It's just how you do it. Witnesses are very repetitious. When I was a child, I had Watchtower prep on Monday. I had book study on Tuesday. I had to go out of service half the time on Wednesday after school. Thursday, we had service meeting. Friday was my one free day. Saturday, I had to go out in service. Sunday, we had, the Sunday meeting. That's a lot of programming. It's a lot of hearing the same things over and over and over again. And your programming is what runs automatically. So the way you see yourself, the way you see the world, the way you see everything has to do with your subconscious mind. It's a hardwired program. That's why so many people struggle when they leave the religion because the programming doesn't stop. You may have tossed the beliefs of the religion, but you did not toss the programming because you're not conscious of it. All the words they use, right? A lot of people don't trust people in the real world because you spent so much time calling them worldly. You spent so much time looking at them in a negative viewpoint that you just have a mistrust for people. You can have a doomsday way of looking at the world and people in general. You might not think enough of yourself because of your programming, the way you were taught to see things. Repetition is everything. So when you try to move forward with your life and you've got these conscious desires of what you want for your life, but the conscious desires are out of alignment with your wired programming, then your subconscious mind will sabotage what you're trying to build. How many of you have sabotaged things in your relationships? Good relationships, you just sabotage it because you have a story about what's supposed to be. How many of you have sabotaged financial opportunities, jobs, entrepreneurial opportunities? Because normally what happens is the prospect of the success is out of alignment with what you're wired to accept for yourself. So you sabotage that. That's why people who win the lottery will blow all the money because their subconscious mind is not wired for wealth. So it's out of alignment. So they subconsciously get rid of the money so they can go back to what they're used to. So for a lot of you, being a witness or that religion having such an importance in your life is part of your programming. So mentally, you're always associated to the religion. As long as you're associated to the religion and you're looking through those lenses, it's hard for life to improve. I used to get on Facebook Live sometimes after I did a motivational speech. Some of you know I'm a motivational speaker. And a couple of times I had a suit and tie on. Immediately, because of people's subconscious wiring, I look like an elder to them. Well, witnesses didn't make suits. I have a couple YouTube videos that I'm standing at a podium speaking. Oh my God, you remind me of the assemblies. That you remind me of an elders up there speaking because I'm at a podium. Witnesses did not make podiums. That's your wiring getting triggered. Now, these are just small examples, but how many things in your life remind you of your past where you can't move forward? How many opportunities are you blowing because the witnesses gave you a really messed up way of looking at money? All subconscious. Now, the third part of your mind is called the creative subconscious or the super subconscious. Its job is to make you correct about what you believe. So when you're a witness and you see something like COVID, well, it's a in a witness's mind, that is evidence of the world coming to an end because of your programming. So the creative subconscious is always looking for proof to make you correct about what you believe. So you will naturally focus on the things that give evidence to your program belief. Does that make sense? So for a lot of you who really went off the rails when you left the witnesses, and a lot of people do, right? You behave in a way that maybe you're not proud of later on. When you left the witnesses, you just kind of lost your mind for a while. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that you are wired and programmed with the thought that if you leave the witnesses, you've lost Jehovah's spirit. Whether you're struggling financially or struggling in life and everything seems to be going wrong, you are merely fulfilling because of your programming what you expected to experience. Subconsciously, this is not conscious. You have been programmed to believe that your life will fall apart if you leave the witnesses. When you have that programmed belief, you will sabotage your own life. You become a self fulfilling prophecy of your programming. This is how the mind works. So it becomes imperative that you learn how to program your own mind, what you want to program it with. Because what you're going to start to do is you're going to start to override or re record over the programming. kind of like back in the 80s when we used to have cassette tapes. When we got done listening to these songs and we didn't want to buy a new tape again, we would record over the song. We put a new tracks over the songs that were there. Your mind has to do the same thing. That's why it is not great to incessantly be obsessed about the witnesses forever, because all you're doing is you're making the program deeper. You want to give things a different meaning. Just put the religion in the scrap heap with other religions you don't believe in. Don't make it so much worse. Don't make it so different. It's just another false belief. Put it here so that it does not affect you so much. And then work on reprogramming your mind for what you want. What do you want? Well, if you want this one thing, then put your study, your attention, your focus on this thing. If you're trying to start a business, learn all about business. Be obsessed about that thing so you start to rewire your thoughts about success and money. Women especially have to do this because you were taught to be in a very subservient role. And in 2024, you'll get walked on if you don't adjust some of that thinking. I'm not saying you have to be ultra masculine, but you definitely need to catch up with what's going on in 2024. Learn how your mind works. Another thing we cover in the course that I offer is the method of mind control. How do they control your mind? How do they get you to just follow what they say? How do they get you to not look at anything, not study anything else? There's a book by Steve Hassan. I don't know if you know who he is, but he talks about the bite method of controlling people's minds. Bite, B-I-T-E. Behavior control, emotional control, no, behavior control, information control, thought control, and emotional control. And the witnesses do all of that. This is how you create this cult-like behavior. Behavior control. They tell you what you can and cannot do. I remember I was going to throw a party one night. I was going to throw a black tie party. And I remember the circuit overseer coming over and trying to discourage me from throwing this party, and for no reason, just because people might get in trouble. Behavior control. How many of you dated someone and did not know the person that you married because there was so much control over that relationship while you were dating and you're probably still kids? Behavior control. Information control. They call everything that doesn't come from them, anything that talks about the witnesses that doesn't come from them, is immediately apostate material, isn't it? Well, you can't know about anything if you get everything from one source. If you're going to buy a new car, if you're going to buy a new Ford, are you just going to read the reports from Ford? That'd be silly. You're going to read the consumer report that is non-biased. You could tell a witness, hey, look, I want to show you something from your magazine back in 1969 and what they were saying. Oh, I'm not reading that. Y'all wrote it. That's from you. I'm not reading that. Apostate. Information control. When you can control people's information, you can control them. When you can get people to buy into one source, you can control them. Thought control. They control what you think. Witnesses at their meetings, you notice that they're always reading their publication and then cherry picking a scripture out of the Bible to fit what they say. Well, you can do that with anything. The Bible's a big book. I could just take a scripture out, and if I wanted to promote slavery, I sure could, couldn't I? So they cherry pick, but you're reading their information, not really the scripture. You're reading their information, and they're feeding you. And even when they do turn to the Bible, they marinate the meat before they put it on the grill. So you're going to see it the way they want you to see it. And not only that, they got their own Bible, don't they? Right? So, information control, thought control, emotional control. You ever notice witnesses are very disconnected when you if you do see a broadcast or something from them, there's a disconnection. There's no emotion, nothing there. I remember them telling us when somebody gets reinstated, don't clap. Well, there's my best friend. I want to clap. I'm happy. Emotional control, telling you how you should feel about things. Emotional control. When they tell you, we as Jehovah's Witnesses are, and they'll describe some emotion. Well, what if I'm not? How about I decide what I feel about something? We just love field service. They'd be up like on the stage telling you how much they love service. Very few people love knocking on strangers' doors, but you're going to go up there and say it, right? So, telling you what you should feel about whatever it is, that's emotional control. They keep you very busy. It's another method of mind control, keeping you busy. You never feel like you're doing enough. The focus is always on the organization and not on yourself. They keep you very, very busy, don't you? They like the carrot and the stick. Fear. We're going to talk about that next, but they give you fear and they give you a hope. And anybody that wants to control people gives you those elements. They give you something to fear, lots of things to fear. They give you an enemy to fight against, and they give you a hope that only comes through them. Watch politicians use this script a lot. They create enemy. They make you fearful of your present times, like things are going to hell, and a hope that only comes through them. That's why politicians are very, very clever when they make a slogan, because that slogan is usually telling you that I am the person that can get you here. And that's what the witnesses do. That's what the witnesses do. Next, I have a lesson on dealing with fear. Witnesses keep you in a fearful state. They always, do I have these magazines here? Yeah. They always try to keep you in a fearful state. The carrot and the stick, right? It's Awake magazine. All the fear here, right? Oh, there's calamity. Oh, this is, I don't know, something's going on. This whole town blew up, I guess. These people are rioting. They're mad, angry. Awful world we live in, right? Awful world. Some tragedies happen here, right? I mean, all these awful things is flooding out here. But the paradise. This is the carrot, the paradise. A better world is near. So awful, but we need this new world. We need the world that God's going to murder 8 billion people. That's what we need. Is life worth living? Okay, let's get you more in fear. Let's get depressed. Get depressed so we could come and give you a hope to get you out of that depression. Is life worth living? Oh my God, so awful. You need us. You need the new world. You're fed this insanity. You can't thrive in life with that insanity. When you leave the religion, that doesn't just leave with you. You can still look at the world through fear. It's a programmed response. If they keep you in fear, you keep coming back because that's your safety. That's the buoy in the ocean when you're drowning. Oh my God, I gotta hold on to this. I can't let this go. Witnesses are like people who are afraid of the deep end of the pool because they can't swim. And you got a bunch of lifeguards just watching over all these people who are in the 3, 4 foot end of the pool. Our job is to learn how to swim. If you learn how to swim, there's no fear. Not of a pool, not of the ocean. You know how to swim. They like to keep you in fear. Now, if I keep telling you about the sharks and the things that can eat you up in the ocean and you need to stay on this shallow end, that's what it's like being a witness. Of course, you're going to fear everything. Fear stands for false expectation appearing real or false evidence appearing real. Fear is when you take something that exists only in your head and you throw it forward. Only in your head. And your mind is always going to focus on the object of what you focused on. Your mind is going to find more evidence. Again, how your super subconscious mind works, it's looking for evidence. So if you think the world is a scary place, you're right. If you think the world is a wonderful place, you're right. Because your mind will find evidence of what you seek to believe. And that's why witnesses live in this little bubble. They live in this little bubble. And everything about their world exists in here. They don't understand this. Anything outside here has to be dismissed in this little world that they live in. Fear. Let me give you this analogy. If you were in prison your whole life, and the whole time you're in prison, from the time you're little, somehow your mother gave birth in prison, and all you've known is these prison walls, and they've told you your whole life that this is the best place on earth. As awful as a prison is, if they told you this is the best place on earth, and everything outside these walls is dangerous, scary. There are animals, they're maniacs outside these walls. They just run around with guns trying to kill everybody. You would believe that. They could leave the prison doors wide open. And you know what you would do? You'd close them. Keep all the bad people out. That's what you would do. Because you're programmed to believe that. You'd be so afraid of what's outside those walls and think that what we all know is a horrible place, this prison, is paradise on earth. That's how witnesses think. But if a couple of us were let out and we got out of prison and we said, oh my God, this is amazing. Man, let's travel the world. And we go and travel the world. It's amazing. We go to France, we go to Tahiti, we go to Australia, we go to the safaris in Africa. My God, this is so amazing. And say while we were traveling and we're on this little journey and safari that we're on, that in the prison, they got a new warden. And this warden was really cool. This warden was like, you guys been behaving real well. So I'm going to give you a treat. Friday, we're going to play softball. We're going to have some barbecues. We're going to eat some ribs and hot dogs. We're just going to, you don't even have to go in your cell. On Friday, we're just going to have a good time. We're going to bring a movie screen out. Y'all sit out there and watch movies all night, have a couple of beers. When the prisoners wake up on Saturday morning, they will say that was the best day ever. Best day of my life. And then we come back from this worldwide journey to talk to some of the people at the prison, and we're on the phone. There's that big thick glass, and we're trying to tell them how awesome the world is. They'd be shutting us up. Shut up. Be quiet. Be quiet. We know what it's like out there. Don't try to convince us. Be lying to us. Stop. Hush. Hush. Let me tell you what you've been missing since you've been gone. We got a new warden in here. We got a new warden. And last night, or yesterday, we had hot dogs on the grill. We had ribs. We didn't have to go in the cell. We watched movies all night long and had a couple of beers. You need to get back up in here. You can't keep missing out. And no matter what we said, they wouldn't listen to us. They were convinced they have heaven on earth and that we're lying. That the devil got a hold of us and we're being misled and all the crazy, wild things that we are exposing ourselves to. So you can't make sense of it. They have no template to even understand what we're talking about. They are kept in fear. They will close that prison door if it was wide open and they could stroll on out, they'd close it themselves. This is what we got to get beyond. The problem with a lot of ex-witnesses is even if they get out of the prison, even if they're let out of the prison, guess what they do? They move across the street. They move across the street and they concern themselves with what's going on in prison. They're concerned. What? I can't believe he said that. The security guard said, what? Oh my God, he needs to go. Oh, can you believe they changed this policy in the prison? That's just wrong. You're concerned about what's going on in prison instead of going out there and seeing the world. Don't fear. Don't let fear encapsulate your life. Don't let your past affect your present so you don't move forward, where you just worry about where you've been and you have no vision for where you're going. Another thing I talk about um, in my course is gaining your self esteem. Who are you? Seeing your worth. Witnesses teach you to not see yourself in the best light. You're unworthy, sinful. Women, especially, double that up for women. You can't see your worth. You are the creator of your experience by what you believe about yourself, about what you believe is possible. You can create as you wish. That's how powerful you are. But when your esteem is low, when you are in a religion that taught you that you can never do enough, then you will always judge yourself. You will never pat yourself on the back over your victories. You'll always look at where you've fallen short. When you're a witness and you make a mistake, you pay for that mistake for years. So many of you out there had to wear a scarlet letter on your forehead, years later. You make a mistake and you're begging to be let back in the organization 2 years later. I made a mistake one night and I got to keep begging 2 years later. Can I be sorry like the next morning? No, you got to pay. You and shaming people. How many of you have been shamed in front of an entire congregation of people? They put your name and they shame your name. There's nothing like your name. Things that you've done in private is nobody's business, but they go and shame you. And that affects your self-esteem. For some of you, that affects how you feel today about yourself. No, no, no. Give yourself credit. See the greatness within yourself. Everyone was given different talents, gifts, abilities, desires, a purpose within. Everyone has greatness within them. When you want to control people, you can't have them see that. If you want to control people, you can't have them think for themselves. If you want to control people, you can't have them think too much of themselves. You need people to doubt themselves. You need people to stay on the shallow end of the pool. When someone carries a belief, then you've just capped off what they will do. If you put a bunch of fleas in a jar and you put a cap on the jar and they keep hitting the cap, they'll stop trying to jump so high. They will jump only as high as that cap because they don't want to feel that pain anymore. When they tried to control elephants in the circus back in the day, when they were little, they put a big chain on the elephant's leg. And when it would pull, it would kind of rip at the elephant's leg and it would hurt the baby elephant. Well, when an elephant was a giant creature, all they had to do is put a thin rope on the elephant's leg. And when he felt the pull, it wouldn't even try. A rope that it could easily break, but it wouldn't try. So where do you have limitations on you based on what the religion told you? Where is your thinking wrong? Do you still carry a very non-forward way of thinking? Do you still carry a thinking that does not project into the future? How many people are prepared for retirement or their older years because you were told the world was going to end? How many people have funny ideas about money because they equated money with some kind of a selfishness? They kept telling you, it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle, and just reiterated things like that, so that you did just enough. It's funny how that religion does all kind of things with the money they get. They invest money in all kinds of things. They're a big real estate company. They're flipping money and doing real wise things with money, but you weren't taught to. You were supposed to keep it simple. They're not keeping it simple. They got all kinds of stuff going on, but you are supposed to keep it simple. Self esteem. Every day, say to yourself, I'm worth it. I'm worth the abundance and I'm worth it, everything that life has to offer. Think well of yourself. Even when you make a mistake, just get up and learn from it. Dust yourself off and keep it moving. Don't beat yourself up over your mistakes. Witnesses do that. You have to consciously rewire your mind. That's something else I talk about. Consciously rewire your mind. That means start living with intention. Don't just live in reaction. Don't respond to the world, but live with intention. And if you start incorporating healthy habits, rituals, and routines, you will begin to rewire your mind. And you'll rewire your mind that will put you en route to what you visualize for yourself. Inch by inch, they say life is a cinch. Yard by yard, it can all feel hard. Just keep moving in the direction of what you see for yourself and believe that everything is possible. Belief. Belief is everything. You can interchange the word belief and faith. Faith does not only have to do with your belief in a God, faith is your belief. It's just when you accept things that are not realized yet as being the truth right now. And when you accept things that are not realized yet as the truth right now, you will create the pathway to that. Know what you want, know why you want it. I'm going to say that again. Know what you want and know why you want it. What you don't have to know is how you're going to get it. The how will come in the form of people, opportunity, and circumstances that are not even on your radar yet. You got to be moving in the direction of what you want. And here's a scripture that the witness is always misapplied. Faith without works is dead. The works has nothing to do with what you're doing, has nothing to do with what you're doing as far as the witnesses. It's not your field service. It's not giving talks. It's not all the things your witness stuff. They made that up. What that means is that if you believe something, you move in the direction of it. Your actions show that you believe in it because you're already moving towards it, even though it hasn't happened yet. Faith without works is dead. Your works is your action toward what you want to believe. And if you're moving in the direction of what you believe, then the people, opportunity, and circumstances will cross your path. It's not a statement of any kind of, it's not a religious statement. I'm just telling you what that really means. Another thing I'm going to cover and share with you here that I cover in my course is learning to manage your emotions. Your emotions is the most powerful thing in your life. It's nothing like your emotions. It's the fuel that drives your car. If you don't learn to manage your emotions will dictate your life. You will do things when you feel good. You will do good things when you feel good. You will procrastinate things when you feel bad. So don't be enslaved of your emotions. Make emotions your slave. Not saying you can always control them, but do your best to put yourself in the best emotional state that you can as much as you can. Again, we don't control it fully. But when you wake up in the morning, put yourself in a good mood. Have habits in the morning that get your emotions right, get you feeling good for your day. Don't spend hours and hours and hours again living. Let me back up. Don't spend hours giving yourself information that triggers you. Don't keep seeking things that trigger you. You know, there's certain kinds of movies that we get attracted to because with a movie, as long as a movie moves our emotions, we will say it was a good movie, even if the emotions aren't good. That's what movies do. They move our emotions. A good movie will make you feel very sad, bring you to tears when it's sad. It will make you laugh when it's time to laugh. You'll laugh out loud. Good movies fully engage your emotions. A bad movie misses the mark. But even movies that are so well done, but we leave with a bad emotion. Maybe the ending was horrible. We still call it a good movie because it moved our emotions fully. But it really wasn't a good movie because it made you feel bad. You think it was a good movie because it was so real, because it did a good job of moving your emotions. But anything that makes you feel bad is not good. You get so depressed. Oh my God, that movie was so good. Oh my God, the ending was so sad. And you feel crummy for the rest of the day. What are you taking in? Are you just doing things that match the emotion that you've been carrying? Are we a victim to our story, or are we creating the story? When we live with intention, we are the creators of our experience. When we live in reaction, we're reacting to what we're experiencing. When you live in reaction, you control nothing. You always will be behind the eight ball. Your life will feel like constant drama. When you live with intention, you are doing what you are doing to get a specific result. And those are the people that know how to control their lives. They know how to create what they visualize. And the witnesses don't teach you this. The witnesses tell you your only hope is a paradise. What do they teach you? Let's look at these magazines again. Is life worth living? Her only hope is the witnesses, the paradise. This is your only hope, wisdom for life and happiness. All the people on this side, on the wrong side of this magazine, the people on this side, horrible. They need this. It's all programming, folks. A better world is near. The world sucks. You need this. Guess what? I know places look just like that right now. I can go right now and get on a plane. I can go right now. I know places. I can drive up to Utah, find a place look exactly like this. Utah, 4 hours away. What time is it? It's by 1:30, I'll be there. 1:30, 2 o'clock. I'll be there. Look just like that. Stop telling yourself these lies. Stop holding yourself hostage. The witnesses are trying to jack with your emotions with that. Like you have no control. We have your answers. No, you have control. You have control by making the right choices every day. You have control by not being a slave to your negative emotions. They are pushing the buttons to make sure you stay in negativity so that you become reliant on the community of witnesses. Call it a spiritual paradise, don't they? No, that is manipulation at its finest. So let's bring the panel up. We got three people today. We should have a lively discussion. Let's get going. I'm just going to pick. We're going to start with Janelle. Janelle, give us some thoughts.
Well, I do really resonate with the portion about emotions. Um, we have a lot more power over our emotions than we realize. We don't want to be enslaved to the emotions. We don't want the emotions to build mastery over us. I remember I had a mentor several years ago, and he was making up to $1 million a month. And one of the phrases that he said that I resonated with was, "Remove emotions, success comes." So we're scared to do something, remove it, and the success will come, you know. And so that resonated with me, and that is true. It kind of helps you to manage your emotions. And also, I was thinking about the other day about how fear is very synonymous with safety. Like when you have a fear, you automatically do something to handle that fear with going to safety. So you may go a little bit extreme with safety, and that's what they did a lot in the organization. They built all this fear. So for you to feel safe, you got to do the field service, the meetings, and et cetera, and so forth. Or people who don't have a witness background, we're gonna the government was shut down, country go down, whatever. So they build these bunkers and food supply for 3 or 4 years because of this fear, and they do that for safety. So it has to be an appropriate balance. So we don't want fear, which is an emotion, to control us. So we have a lot more power than we realize because that fear eats up the power that we have. And it can really just kind of dilute whatever issues were going on. Something I even did a few days ago, I started implementing. I had to make a hard decision several weeks ago, with my family. Um, it was a decision I never thought I would have to make. So ever since then, no, no, yeah. So I started having like these bad dreams. It was very violent, aggressive. It was just too strong for me. I'm used to having good sleep, good dreams, or be like neutral dreams, but it was just horrible. I was getting it every night, every night, every night, every night, and I tried to contact my family. Um, it didn't go 100% well. But at any rate, weeks later, I was like, I'm tired of going to sleep thinking that I may have a bad dream. So what I started doing was, because usually when you think of dreams, you think, oh, it's just the way it is, however it happened, like as if you don't have any power over it. Whatever happens, happens. So I was like, maybe I have more power over my dreams than I realized. So right before I go to bed, I would say affirmations what I would want my dreams to ideally be like. I'm walking in the Amazon forest of a particular island in Niue by New Zealand, and there's no poisonous plants or animals in there. So I will say I can drop my shoulders. They say you can't smell or read in a dream, but I would say I smell the plants, I feel the wind, and I just kind of go on about it. I tell you what, I did not have bad dreams ever since I started doing that. So I always try to encourage people to, challenge the power that you may not realize you have. Don't just quickly jump into, well, I can't, or that's the way it is. Is it really?
Mm. See
Is it
how
really?
the mind just tries to make you correct, right? I mean, if you're gonna worry about something, go, okay, we can do that. You're gonna think good about something, oh, we can do that too, right?
Yeah.
And realize, a lot of the things we've been programmed with and the things that the witnesses do, it's not unusual. It's not just the witnesses.
Right.
There's lots of organizations, even the government, they do it all the time. It's a common play. Um, right now in America with the elections going on, you watch people just put themselves in such a state of fear, like everything's gonna just go to hell with the wrong president. Listen, in my life, I've had as an adult. What presidents have I had as an adult? I think I became an adult. Reagan was still president. Reagan, Bush, Clinton, Bush, Obama, um, Trump, Biden. My life is pretty much what I do. Hey, I've never had a president in my life just went to hell. Okay, if it went bad, it's something I wasn't doing. It's something I did wrong. Yeah, economy could go up and down. I mean, there's just things that happen in life. I mean, we just put way too much on other people and not enough on ourselves. And the state of my life is pretty much what I'm doing. I'm not saying it doesn't matter at all, but we act like it's doomsday. You know what? Come election day, something's going to happen. Somebody going to be president. My life goes on. It's going to last 4 years. You get choose again 4 years later. But we want to believe that all these things outside of our control dictate our life, and the biggest component to our lives is ourselves. So really focus on that. So thank you, Janelle. Dean, what you got?
I just want to make a comment, just to get it out the way quickly. It helps to get other inputs, and I think one of the greatest inputs that I ever got was somebody was talking about the Good Samaritan. But they said not only was the Good Samaritan good, he was also rich, and there was like a mind shift of absolute note, because he took the guy who was beaten up and put him in a guest house. And I'm going, most people can't stay in guest houses just at a whim. So there was one perspective on money that was good. But what I wanted to comment on was, I think the two things I struggled with coming out, and I would say would be money and sex. And I think one of the things that you spoke about it, the sense of shame that was always lurking when we were in the organization. There was always the sense of shame, something's going to happen, and oh, what shame are you going to bring on, the organization, on God, and on your family, and yet the only way to create your own rules about life, things like money and sex, is to experiment with your own rules, and you're going to make mistakes, and you're going to do things that are not cool, they're not nice, and you're going to realize that. But you need to realize that for yourself, because that's where you create your own boundaries and lines. And when I've made those mistakes, I've experienced that great sense of shame. But slowly I've kind of just went, look, that's part of the process. I just I've got to figure out what my rules of life are. And let's be perfectly honest, when I finished school back in 1980 to now, the rules on sex have changed dramatically. It's like, be very, very clear about stuff. The rules are not the same. But there's a core sense of fundamentals, and sometimes I know when I left I just went, there are no rules. You do whatever you like, because you just were sick and tired of rules. But that also doesn't work. But when you start working on your own rules, you're going to experience a lot of shame, may I call it that, because you're defining the rules for your life.
Yes. Yes. It's important to know why you think something.
Yes.
When you're just following the rules given to you, yet they weren't your rules,
Yeah.
you'll find you struggle with them greatly.
Yeah.
It always feels like, oh my God, you want to touch the stove. Right? Everybody's different. Some kids, when you're raising kids, some kids you tell them something and they take it to heart just from you telling them. Other kids are gonna touch the stove. But guess who's less likely to touch the stove again? The one that got burned, right? It might be paranoid of the stove, but everyone's different, and that's why you should not beat yourself up when it becomes your rule. There's a lot of things that are my rules now. It might have felt like I was a struggle when I was a witness, but now I know why I don't do some things for my own reasons. And it's even if I fall short, I don't beat myself up, but I know why for my own reasons. Um, when I was a witness, it wasn't my rules, and that's another thing. People misunderstand the difference between your conscience and programming. It's not the same thing. When you're a witness, well, that bothers my conscience. Does it really? That's your programming.
Mm-hmm.
You know, anybody punching somebody in the face for no reason bothers them. You go, oh God, I shouldn't have did that. Stealing bothers people because you just inherently know it's wrong. It'll bother your conscience. You know, only witnesses feel guilt over taking blood. Only witnesses feel guilt over a lot of things that you're programmed in that religion, but it's your programming. It's
Yeah.
not necessarily your conscience. And again, coming out of the witnesses, you don't know the difference, and you're also detached from your intuition, so you don't know how to hear it. And now you might not know the difference between intuition and mistrust because you're disconnected from it. So, good share, Judy.
Um, let's see here. Well, this is not a paid programming endorsement, but I'm going to say that the XJW program that you offer was so helpful, because I think that when we left the organization, for myself, I was in my 40s, and we kind of go through what teenagers naturally go through when they're becoming adults. They're finding out who they are. They're testing the waters. Now here we are, no matter what age we leave in, people put it to like a midlife crisis, because we didn't have that time to grow. We didn't, we were always taught that, having money naturally would make someone materialistic. Everyone's so judgmental in the congregation, what kind of car they drove, if it was a showy display of one's means of life. or we were told not to think more of ourselves than was necessary. So then you come out and you like go a little bit crazy because you are learning who you are. All those, like you said, the rules that were put on you that weren't naturally you. I was going to be the child that's going to touch the stove, but we were always shamed not to do those things. So that deprogramming course, and knowing that it's okay to be good at something, it's okay to be proud of who you are, it's okay to have natural talents and be able to use them, and to use them not that you're being egotistical, but you use them for the benefit of others as well. Janelle, when you talked about like what you say to yourself before you go to sleep, there's a whole part on that deprogramming course that has daily affirmations.
Yes.
I would listen to that, before I went to sleep. That was so helpful. So just saying, like, it really is a process, and the longer we are in, or the more we're in, the more it takes to undo it and to constantly remind ourselves. And um, one of the things that you helped me with, Coach Rod, was having those daily habits. I always wanted to keep a gratitude journal. I started every year, and I have a plethora of them that were only partway written through because I would get out of the habit. So now I'm a huge coffee drinker. I know I'm not going to go in my morning without making my espresso, and my gratitude journal is right there to remind me to do that. So little things like that, I just would like to express gratitude to, that really helped me, even though I did not take that course or come into contact with you until 17 years after I left. And I thought I had like made a lot of progress, which I did, but the leaps and bounds of really delving into it in the last couple of years have been tremendous in that. And it takes a lot of deprogramming, and on the money, on the sex, on the individuality, and that's about it.
Yeah, thank you so much. In fact, I've coached all three of you, and I think all of you have done the course. So yeah, thank you for that. But learning to see things differently, for all of you watching live or on YouTube or watching later, most of you don't have as many things wrong as you may think.
Mm.
For most of you, it's just a changing of perspective. And what I tell people that I do when I work with people is I simply help you look out of a different window. If you were told that this house had a beautiful view, and we blindfold you, bring you in there, and we open the window and there's nothing but a brick wall behind the window, you're disappointed, aren't you? But my job is to turn you around, walk you to the other end of the house, and there's nothing but the Pacific Ocean out the front end of the house, right? So both things still exist, but which window are you going to look out of? Suddenly that back window doesn't matter anymore. So it's the changing of your perspective. And the witnesses did a good job of marinating the meat before they put it on the grill. So they taught you how to see things. They didn't teach you the other side of something, right? So again, you could have a scripture that says, easier for a camel to go through the needle than a rich man into the kingdom of God. Okay, I can see where that's true in some cases, but there's the opposite of that too. Solomon was the richest man ever. He's in the Bible, right? So what's the balance? It's really not about money. It's how you do everything in your life. If you do things a particular way, you will just have a successful life. The same principles that apply to your relationships, the same principles that apply when you go to the gym and work out, the same principles that apply when you go and work. It's all the same principles. And if you do them well, you will have a successful, abundant life. It's when you tell yourself the story that you can't. You tell the story of lack. Life will show evidence of your habits, rituals, and routines. Period. It's that simple. But the witnesses took up so much of your time, you could not get good at anything. If you were the world's greatest pianist and you came to this planet with this natural gift, you would never know it
Mm.
because you would have spent so much time out there preaching things that weren't true. You've been so much time teaching people that 1975 is it. Generation of 1914 will not pass away. Have spent so much of your life telling people lies instead of developing what you were given to share. Your obligation for everyone watching is to take what you were given, to use what you were given, to develop what you were given, and to use it to add value to the lives of others. That is what we do as human beings. Everyone has an inherent, unique greatness within them. Conceit and confidence are not the same thing. To be confident in what you are gifted to have is not about you. There's no reason to fear feeling great about what you were given because it's a gift. You don't want to take your gift to the grave. You don't want to do that. The greatest regrets for people who are on their deathbed is of the things they did not do. What they did not do. People rarely spend a lot of time regretting their mistakes because everybody makes mistakes. They regret what they did not do. So live to the fullest. So, anybody watching, feel free to reach out to me. So many of you are struggling needlessly. You can grow by leaps and bounds if you just have some guidance on how to put that puzzle together. It's not the puzzle pieces that are missing for many of you, it's the box it came in. So when you have a mentor, whether it's me or someone else, they simply help you to place the pieces and to build the puzzle the right way. My friends, thank you so much for joining us. Always grateful of the panel. I know this is a long weekend, and you could have chosen to be anywhere else, but you chose to be with us. So thank you. And those watching live or on the recording, thank you for joining us also. We shall see you next week. Get out there and have some fun, and see you in 8 days.